Hey guys, it's me Husum. Split 2 just ended and that means the start of split number 3. A lot of changes happened and I want to just take you through the changes that I think will have an impact on Swain. The biggest takeaway from this patch, or this new split, is they did a lot of changes to the items. Basically every single item in the game has been nerfed by roughly around 5 to 12% of the total power. I won't show all the changes to items, I'll just go over the things I think positively benefit Swain or negatively impact Swain. So the first little change I think is very nice. So they changed Sapphire Crystal, now it's only 300 gold cost and gives 300 mana, so I mean it's gonna make your early recalls nicer. If you can't afford Lost Chapter, the Sapphire Crystal will actually now be kinda nice to purchase compared to what it was previously split. There's minor nerfs to like basically all items like Oblivion Orb, Aether Wisp, Fiendish Codex is actually buffed a bit. It's a little less money. I won't go too much into this, let's just go like to the full items. And the first item I want to talk about is Rod of Ages. Okay, Rod of Ages, I've been kinda slandering it recently. It's simply because the build path is so bad. 1300 gold for Catalyst, blasting on 850 is so awkward to purchase, and now it's actually getting nerfed also this patch, so I definitely don't see any reason buying it currently. Ryla's Crystal Scepter, a very popular item on Swain, loses 10 AP, but that's not too bad. We don't buy it for the AP anyways, right? We buy it for the slow effect, and that's a thing that is very present about Swain, is on Swain, it's not that important to get a lot of base stats, like AP for example, like his AP ratios aren't that good, but he really likes item effects like Rylai Slow, like Liandry Burn. All these kind of effects are really nice for Swain because of his infinite ultimate that can keep proccing them, right? To everyone around him. That's why stuff like this, minus 10 AP, doesn't really matter that much. You gotta understand, yes, this kind of you can look at it and say, oh my god, so many Swain items are losing power, right? Malignant is losing power, Rylai is losing power, Liandris is also losing power, I'll get to that. But everyone is losing power. So that means the fights will be longer, they're gonna be slower, it's not gonna be as snowbally. And you know what? Swain really likes that. He likes longer fights. And since he doesn't really benefit that much from AP anyways, I would say it's very good for him, all these changes. Because Swain is a champion with very high base damages. So longer fights and less AP in the game, for example, that will 100% benefit Swain. Also, since no item effects really are nerfed, and that is what he really benefits from these items, it's not gonna be a problem, okay guys? Anyways, Malignance gets changed build path. Honestly, I don't like this new build path. It's worse, 100%. Blasting Wand, always very awkward to purchase, 850 gold. It loses 10 haste, which is one of the reasons why I really like buying Malignance. You buy it, you get so much ultimate haste and no normal haste, just like, it's a really good haste item. They give a little more AP, but I think generally this is just like nerf for Swain, pretty much. The next item is very interesting though, Blackfire Torch. This item was very anticipated once it first came out, as a Swain item, because of the burn, but they kept nerfing the burn damage, they kept making it just like a jungle item. That's okay, but now this patch, they're gonna give it a little less AP. Haste is gonna remain almost the same. This is actually gonna be the highest mana haste item, if you don't count Service Embrace, which we don't do, because we don't buy that on Swain. We don't need 1000 mana, we don't like buying TF cards on Swain. Anyways, they're gonna buff the base damage, and this is actually really huge. From 45 all the way up to 60. Remember this item, it burns for 3 seconds. So instead of 15 damage a second, it's gonna be 20 damage a second. But they're nerfing the AP ratio from 9% down to 6%. So this is 1% each second, right? It burns for 3 seconds. This will be a nerf after you get to 500 plus AP. But as I said, we don't do that really on Swain, right? We just stay around maybe max 2, 3, 400 AP, right? And for the majority of the game, you're not over 500 AP. So if you rush this item, it's gonna just be strictly more damage with the burn, right? Highest haste on a mana item as well, really like that. So I honestly think Blackfire Torch will be the best mana item for Swain, and Malignance will be replaced. Getting so much extra base burn damage here is just so nice, especially for the early game. You rush this item, right? You just do so much more burn everyone around you. It's gonna be great. I have big hopes for Blackfire Torch this patch, but we still need to do some more testing. This is just my first impressions of what I think is gonna happen. Crypto Bloom, we don't buy that too much. Maybe we will now because of Abyssal nerfs. I'll get to that as well. It's a pretty decent item. They make it heal more with less AP. Ludens just get a straight up minus 10 haste. That might hurt the gun build a bit. But gun build is all about one-shotting anyways, so who knows, honestly. Archangel, we don't really buy that anyways. Storm Surge, not too much. They're also just gonna get nerfed. Liandris, this is one of the biggest, like, on paper nerfs. It looks like crazy. What? Minus 20 AP, that's a whole amp tome, right? It's 400 gold value lost, right? But again, Swain doesn't buy it and thinks, oh my god, I do so much damage now because of the AP, right? It's because we got that burn, right? The 2% max HP burn. And Swain is still gonna be able to apply this effect, even with minus 20 AP. And the thing is, like, you buy Blackfire Torch, that one has higher base damage, right? Doesn't scale as much, but like all the AP items already give way less AP now, so we're not gonna get to 500 AP anyways, right? We buy Blackfire, Rylai, Liandry, we're still gonna burn massive burn damage, okay? The AP doesn't do that much anyways on Swain, remember? We're still gonna have the same effects, we're still gonna even have better effects from Blackfire, right? So I don't think it's that bad as people make it out to be, at least on Swain. It might be worse on other mages that really likes having more AP, right? But Swain doesn't really need that. We just need to proc our spell's effects. So Leandro is still gonna be fine on Swain, I think. Now for a big change, that's been very talked about, the Cosmic Drive. It's very hard to say right now what will happen to this item. So basically they gave it less AP, less movement speed, and the big change is, so instead of 40 to 60 flat movement speed when you hit an enemy for 2 seconds, so it's gonna be only 20 flat for 4 seconds. So double the time when you damage an enemy, right? That's a very big decrease in movement speed in general, but I will say though, this item has been very strong. And it always was said here, Cosmic Drive is probably the single most underrated item in the game, and honestly, it has been very underrated for quite a while now. I still think this item could be very good on Swain. Just like I've played a lot with the Malignant Cosmic build, I definitely could see Blackfire Cosmic as a 2 component now. 20 movement speed is still nice for 4 seconds, right? We will be able to catch up to enemies just in general. Then one of the stats that have been most nerfed this split is movement speed. So all other items also lost movement speed. You will still have a movement speed advantage if you buy this, so you can still kite them. You can still, like, you know, 4 seconds is a long time. It of course sucks a bit. I don't think this item is dead at all, but I will need to do some testing, definitely. This item is still great because it provides 25 haste, right? And a lot of HP, and you give this mobility will still make you faster than the majority of champs in the game, right? So you can kite them, outspace them, etc. Moving on to Banshees, we don't buy that too much. It's just like strict nerf. Lich Bane, only assassin item now, right? Rift Mega gets hit a bit here. We're gonna make it so instead of you get 5 stacks, it's only gonna be 4 stacks. So instead of you get 10% bonus amp, you gotta get 8%. This also means you get the Omnivamp 1 second earlier, but it's not like the 6% on range champs is that much anyway, so this is just strictly nerf. Again, Shadow Flame nerfed for dot champs, less AP. Sonya minus 15 AP also sucks, right? But again, it's the item effects, guys. The AP isn't that important on Swain because of his AP ratios. Rabadon's also nerfed. We didn't buy that too much on Swain, only on like fun full AP builds. But anyways, the tank items is something you also buy on Swain. And Frozen Heart gets some more armor. Rock Solid removed. I think this item's still gonna be fine. 75 is a pretty big armor, but the biggest like nerf here in this patch, in my opinion, is the Abyssal Mask. It's gonna get 150 gold more expensive. It gets 5 haste though, but loses 5 MR and gets the entire unmake passive removed. And that's the one where you stand close to an enemy, you get 10 magic resist. You stand close to 5 enemies, you get 50 magic resist, right? It had such potential of getting, you could get 100 magic resist from this one item, and it was only 2500 gold, remember? This item is still gonna be good in cases where you have a lot of AP on your team and enemy builds MR. Because it's still gonna shred the 30%, right? 30% is still huge shred for your team. This is gonna be way more niche though, but it still has a place in the game. You can't buy it every game like you could before, so rest in peace to Abyssal Mask. Trailblazer honestly gets a little buff here, some might say. Less expensive, more health, only 1% less movement speed. Maybe this could be an armor item for Swain. And the next item I want to talk about is Thornmail, okay? Thornmail has always been bad on Swain, since it's simply just very expensive, didn't give that much armor. You don't really stack that much armor unless they're full 80 comps, right? So you didn't get too much value of this 25 bonus armor on the Thorns, right? But now it's gonna be cheap, okay? And you know what? Swain loves cheap items. 250 gold less money. Do you know what I mean? That's a lot of money. And the build path is much better. Look at the build path. Bramble West Giants Belt, 1000 gold. Awkward, okay, awkward. Bramble West Chain West, Ruby Crystal, and only 450 gold. Holy. That's nice, do you know what I mean? It's gonna lose 200 health, that of course sucks, but 80 armor on one item. and it's roughly around the same damage-ish, I think. We're not doing the math here. But yeah, 2450 gold for an item that gives 80 armor and a Thorns passive with anti-heal. This could be the anti-heal component from now on. But again, who never knows? I haven't tested it. This is just thoughts, okay? It's just very cheap for 80 armor. I like to see that. Anyways, on any despair, I would say this is fine. It's roughly same power. Force of Nature gets kind of like removed all movement speed, but one of my most excited things here is actually the Spirit Visage. Okay, Spirit Visage has always been something I would say is a bait item on Swain. People say, oh, it increases heal, right? But it was always outclassed by Abyssal, usually. Or it was always outclassed by Force of Nature, usually. So, yeah, it would be okay. It's still okay to buy, but it was only really good when you had enchanters with you that could like amplify it. So you got more of the healing, right? Usually, you would just be better off buying Force of Nature if you want MR. Or buying Abyssal Mask if you want MR, right? But now it actually, again, cheaper. 200 gold, we like to see that. Less money to spend on it. And it's gonna lose some health and MR. That is what it is. But the thing is, when it's just cheaper, we're gonna get it so much faster. And we get the passive faster. So this is actually gonna be a pretty nice M item now, considering Force of Nature loses a lot of movement speed, which is one of the things we really like to buy it for, right? We become so fast and unkillable to MR. Abyssal Mask is also a lot of nerfs, so I think Spirit Visage honestly might see way more play moving on, since this item is gonna be much better for champs that actually heal, right? And especially if you have an enchant on your team, you can get a relatively cheap MR item, 50 MR, right? A lot of health, and it gives you the extra healing you might need, do you know what I mean? So definitely see potential in Spirit Visage. Moving on, we don't really play these items too much. Jack Show got a little change. Doesn't matter too much. Still gonna be good. The build path is actually much better now. Chain Vest, Negatron, Cloak, Jansveld, and only 600 gold. Before it was 1100 gold you need to finish item, right? So build path a bit better. Little less resistance is more HP. It is what it is. Boots changes. Ionic boots, I think it's simply too little haste. 10 haste for 900 gold. And move 45 movement speed, that's a bit too low. Plated gets more value here. Plated gets buffed. Merc Thread's very expensive now. Still good options. At least Merc Thread's plated. I wouldn't buy Ionia currently. Just go Sorks if you want offensive boots. Presence of Mind changed. We love this rune on Swain. Now in setup it's gonna be mana over time. You're just gonna get a flat amount, just like Taste of Blood. It's kinda hard to tell if this is gonna be how huge impact this is gonna be for Swain. I think it's still gonna be a fine mana rune for Swain. You're just gonna get a big chunk of mana, and then 8 seconds cooldown, you're gonna get a big chunk again. It's probably still gonna be the one we pick for the mana option usually, but I will have to do some more testing to understand it 100%. A change I actually think is pretty interesting is biscuits. They're not gonna give mana anymore, but maybe you can do variations where you go these on like a secondary page, paired with, it could be anything. It could be like cashback, it could be like free boots, right? Free boots and biscuits. And the thing is, like, they're not gonna give mana anymore, but they're gonna get 12% missing HP, right? It's very good sustain. If you're into hard matchups, this could be something. And the thing is, I found really interesting is, instead of giving permanent mana now, it's gonna give permanent HP, okay? And it's gonna give up to 90 permanent HP. That's honestly not that bad. For a rune that is like finished after 6 minutes, you get 90 HP and you get like 3 times 12% missing HP healing in lane. Do you know what I mean? Like, honestly, this is very good sustain. That is about it for the split number 3. It was heavily focused on items. You can see how many items that just got nerfed. Every class had like nerfed items. Overall thoughts, Swain is definitely buffed in my opinion. Swain has higher base damages. He doesn't really rely that much on the stats. He likes longer fights. He likes when he can sustain more, heal more, doesn't get bursted as quickly. A lot of the changes are pretty positive. They just nerfed stuff like AP on AP items. He doesn't really need that as much as other champs. So the thing is, like, yes, he's nerfed, but other champs might be nerfed more. So that's a positive. Does that make sense? Tank items look a bit interesting. Rest in peace Abyssal though. But I think stuff like Dawn Mail, Spirit Visage unironically could become items that I would purchase on Swain. Moving on. Blackfire Torch has good potential, honestly. The passive burn here, the base burn is gonna be pretty huge and pretty nice, I think. And it's gonna still provide 20 haste. So a build, hypothetically just theory crafting here, I could see coming is you just go Blackfire, Rylai as your 2 core items. This will give a lot of burn and you will still get your lovely slow effect. You could also go Blackfire Cosmic, because I think Cosmic actually will be fine still with this. You're still gonna be faster than everybody else. 20 movement speed for 4 seconds is honestly pretty huge. It's a long time. Item is still gonna give 25 haste, right? So if we pair it with Blackfire, we're still gonna get 45 ability haste from just those 2 items. And if we get some from the runes too, we're gonna have a lot of ability haste. It's gonna be a lot like the Malignance Cosmic build I made. Sadly, I think Malignance is a bit nerfed here for Swain. We'd rather have the haste. We don't need the 5 extra AP. The build path is gonna be worse. I think that the base burn from Blackfire will make it the better item moving on from this patch. And after those 2 items, either Blackfire Rylai, Blackfire Cosmic to your liking, we can still build items like Leandre. It will have huge burn damage. We can still go stuff like Sonya here. We're still gonna have that good stasis we all know and care about. If we need armor items other ways, we could still go Thornmail. We can still go the classic other armor items. Frozen Heart is still a good item against auto attackers. Do we need magic resist now? Abyssal is still fine against when enemy have AP and your team has AP. Most importantly, it's gonna be more niche now. I could definitely see Spirit Visage making its way into Swain's builds now, moving forward. Rounding it out with a Jack Show. There's like still a lot of options. Swain has tons of different builds you can go. It's honestly up to the individual mostly what they want to build. There's a lot of good viable options. As long as you just follow some basic guidelines, you can't build too wrongly. Does that make sense? So overall, I think it's a Swain positive patch. Looking forward to play Swain and looking much forward to the rework that should be here in 28 days. Since I've heard it's gonna be released in 14/21, unless it gets pushed. If it gets pushed, it's gonna be some more patches. But like from what the Riot has said, 14/21 should be the patch for some Swain changes. All right, very excited for that. Thank you so much for watching my initial impressions on split number 3, and have a great day.